Don't overlook that dime. It could be worth a fortune. Some Roosevelt dimes from rare years or with minting errors are highly prized by collectors. That 10-cent coin might bring in hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The 1977 Roosevelt One Dime coin is one of those fascinating little pieces of history that often go unnoticed in the daily shuffle of coins that pass through our hands. To most people, a dime is just 10 cents, almost too small to even bother with anymore. But for collectors, historians, and those who appreciate the mystery of minting errors, the 1977 Roosevelt dime carries a story that stretches far beyond its face value. It is a coin that demonstrates how something as simple as a small error can transform pocket change into a valuable and highly sought-after collectible. The Roosevelt dime itself was first introduced in 1946, the year after President Franklin D. Roosevelt's death. The choice of Roosevelt for the dime was fitting not only because of his role in leading America through the Great Depression and World War II, but also because of his connection to the March of Dimes, the campaign to fight polio. Designed by Chief Engraver John R. Sinek, the coin has maintained its basic design for decades. The obverse shows Roosevelt's left-facing profile, with the words, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," the mint year, and a mint mark when applicable. The reverse features a torch, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, representing liberty, peace, and strength. BY 1977. The dime had already been struck for over 30 years, and millions of examples poured out of the Philadelphia and Denver mints to meet the needs of circulation. At first glance, the 1977 dime may not appear extraordinary. But what sets coins like this apart is not their sheer numbers, but rather the rare imperfections that slipped through during production. These imperfections, known as mint errors, are what fuel the passion of collectors, transforming an everyday dime into a treasure point. One of the most common and yet intriguing error types for the 1977 dime is the off-center strike. This occurs when the blank planchet is not properly seated in the collar during striking, resulting in part of the design being struck off to one side. The effect can range from slight, where just a portion of the rim is missing, to dramatic, where nearly half the design is cut off. The more dramatic the off-center error while still keeping the date visible, the more valuable the coin becomes. Examples with 30 to 40% off-center strikes have been known to sell for hundreds of dollars, while especially rare ones can command even higher prices. Another error type collectors hunt for is the double die variety. A double die occurs when the die itself has been improperly prepared, causing elements of the design to appear doubled on the struck coins. On a 1977 Roosevelt dime, this might show up on the word, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or even in the details of Roosevelt's profile. Strong double die examples from other years have sold for thousands, and though the 1977 double dies are scarcer, when they do appear, they are quickly snapped up by collectors willing to pay hundreds or even thousands depending on clarity and grade. Broad strikes are another fascinating error for this year. A broad strike occurs when the coin is struck outside the retaining collar, causing it to spread outward and lose its defined rim. These coins look wider and flatter than normal, and their odd appearance often makes them immediately identifiable. A broad-struck 1977 dime might sell for $100 or more, depending on condition. Even more dramatic are wrong planchet errors. These occur when the dime design is struck on a planchet meant for another denomination. Imagine a dime struck on a copper cent planchet, or a dime struck on a smaller foreign coin blank. Such errors are rare and eye-catching, and when authenticated, they can sell for thousands of dollars at major auctions. Wrong planchet errors from the 1970s, especially those involving dimes, have sold in the range of $5,000 to $10,000 or more, depending on the rarity and condition. In terms of regular issues, high-grade mint state examples of the 1977 Roosevelt dime are also worth attention. Most dimes enter circulation quickly, gathering where that diminishes their value. Coins that survive in pristine condition, graded MS-66 or higher, are scarce and highly collectible. An MS-67 example can bring hundreds of dollars, and the finest examples graded MS-68 are true condition rarities, often selling for well over $1,000. Proof coins struck in San Francisco also add an interesting dimension to the 1977 dime. The 1977 proof Roosevelt dimes were specially made for collectors, featuring mirror-like fields and frosted devices. While proof sets containing these coins are common, The highest graded proof examples, especially those with strong cameo or deep cameo contrasts, can sell for several $100s. A PR70 deep cameo is the ultimate prize in this category and has been known to bring over $1,000 when collectors compete. Auction history provides some of the most exciting stories for these coins. For instance, error dimes from 1977 with dramatic off-center strikes have sold for several $100s. High-grade mint state examples have crossed into the four-figure range, while spectacular wrong planchet errors have brought thousands at auction houses like Heritage or Stack's Bowers. These sales show the wide range of potential value the 1977 dime can hold, depending on condition and error type. What makes coins like the 1977 Roosevelt dime so compelling is that they are both common and rare at the same time. Billions of dimes were struck, and you can still find them in pocket change. Yet, among those billions are the scarce survivors in pristine condition and the rare errors that slipped past the mint's quality control. That means the possibility of finding a valuable coin in everyday circulation still exists, and that sense of treasure hunting keeps collectors intrigued. For many, the Roosevelt Dime series is a way to connect with history. Every dime carries the image of Franklin Roosevelt, a man who guided the United States through unprecedented challenges. Collecting them, especially with an eye for rare varieties and minting errors, adds depth and meaning to something as small and ordinary as a dime. So the next time you come across a dime dated 1977, don't dismiss it too quickly. Hold it up to the light, check for doubling on the inscriptions, look closely at the alignment of the strike, and examine its overall condition. You might just discover that what appears to be 10 cents could, in fact, be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's the magic of coin collecting. The thrill of finding value where most people see none. The 1999 Roosevelt One Dime coin is one of those pieces of American currency that often goes unnoticed in daily use. It's small, light, and usually slips right through your hands when you get change at a store or from a vending machine. But behind this ordinary-looking coin lies a world of fascination, history, and potential treasure. What makes the 1999 Roosevelt Dime so intriguing is not just its design or its place in the long-running Roosevelt Dime series, but the minting errors and high-grade examples that have transformed ordinary 10-cent pieces into coins worth hundreds, thousands, and in rare cases, tens of thousands of dollars at auction. Collectors know that within the billions struck in 1999, there are unique treasures hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by a sharp eye. The Roosevelt dime itself has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1946, when it was first introduced to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who had passed away the year before. Designed by Chief Engraver John R. Sinek, the obverse of the coin features Roosevelt's left-facing portrait along with the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the year of issue. The reverse design includes a torch in the center, flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, with inscriptions reading United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and One Dime. By 1999, the coin had been struck in copper-nickel-clad composition for decades, with a pure copper core sandwiched between outer layers of copper and nickel, producing its silver-like appearance. In 1999, Roosevelt dimes were struck at 3 U.S. mint facilities: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, D; and San Francisco, S. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced the bulk of the circulation strikes, each numbering in the hundreds of millions. The San Francisco Mint focused on producing proof coins for collectors, with polished dies and specially prepared planchets to create deeply mirrored surfaces and frosted details. For the average person, these dimes are still extremely common and worth only their face value in circulation. But for coin collectors, condition, rarity, and most importantly, minting errors can make the difference between a dime worth 10 cents and one that sells for thousands at auction. Errors are what bring the real thrill when it comes to the 1999 Roosevelt dime. Minting errors occur when mistakes happen during the mass production process, and while most errors are caught and destroyed, some slip through and make their way into circulation. These mistakes can dramatically increase the value of a coin. Among the most sought-after errors in 1999 Roosevelt dimes are off-center strikes. This happens when the blank planchet is not properly aligned between the dies, resulting in part of the design missing. Sometimes a portion of the coin will show a blank crescent-shaped area, while the rest of the design is distorted. Depending on how far off-center the strike is and whether the date and mint mark are still visible, These coins can range from $100 to $500 or more in value. Another major error type for the 1999 dime involves double dies. A double die error occurs when the hub impresses the design on a die more than once in slightly different positions. This creates a doubling effect on the inscriptions or details of the coin. On the Roosevelt dime, doubling often appears on the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or on the date. Dramatic double die errors are extremely rare and highly prized. Collectors pay thousands for coins that show strong doubling. Some examples of double die Roosevelt dimes from modern years have fetched $2,000 to $5,000, and in top condition, these coins can bring even more at auction. Broad strike errors are also known in the 1999 Roosevelt dime series. A broad strike occurs when the retaining collar that keeps the coin's shape fails during striking. Instead of being struck within the collar, the coin spreads outward, creating a larger, flat coin without the reeded edge that Roosevelt dimes usually have. These errors can bring anywhere from $50 to several $100 depending on how dramatic the broad strike is and the condition of the coin. Wrong planchet strikes are among the most spectacular errors for Roosevelt dimes, and examples from 1999 exist. This type of error occurs when a dime die strikes a blank intended for another denomination or even for a foreign coin. For example, a dime struck on a cent planchet would appear smaller and copper-colored, while one struck on a nickel or quarter planchet would appear oversized and unusual. These rare and fascinating mistakes can sell for thousands, sometimes even tens of thousands, depending on their condition and rarity. Auction houses have seen wrong planchet dime errors from various years fetch $5,000 to $15,000 or more, proving just how valuable these unexpected mistakes can be. Another dramatic error type is a missing clad layer. Since Roosevelt dimes are clad coins, made with multiple layers of metal, sometimes one of the layers fails to properly bond to the core. The result is a coin that appears coppery on one side or even on both sides. These errors are highly collectible and can bring $300 to $1,000 depending on grade, and high-grade coins also command strong premiums. While circulated 1999 dimes are worth only 10 cents, uncirculated coins graded MS-66 or higher can bring serious money. An MS-66 example might sell for $30 to $50, while an MS-67 jumps into the hundreds. Extremely rare MS-68 examples, nearly flawless coins, have been known to sell for $1,000 to $3,000. Proof coins from San Francisco add another layer of collectability, especially those graded PR69 or PR70 deep cameo. These flawless proofs with deep mirror-like fields and frosty details can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars, especially at auctions where multiple collectors are competing. Auction records highlight just how valuable some 1999 Roosevelt dimes can become. In one instance, a 1999 dime error featuring a wrong planchet strike brought in over $10,000 at a major coin auction. Another example, a spectacular broad strike with excellent preservation, sold for around $500. Meanwhile, high-grade proof coins with perfect deep cameo designations have fetched $1,500 or more. These examples show how a dime you might overlook in your pocket change could, under the right circumstances, turn into a small fortune. It's this unpredictability that makes coin collecting so exciting. Billions of 1999 Roosevelt dimes were minted, but only a fraction of them contain these rare errors or exist in nearly perfect condition. For collectors and coin roll hunters, the thrill comes from the possibility that the next roll of dimes you open could contain one of these hidden treasures. Imagine spending 10 cents at a store only to later realize that coin could have been worth $5,000, $10,000, or even more. That's the kind of story that keeps collectors searching. The 1999 Roosevelt dime might seem ordinary, but it represents the magic of coin collecting. It reminds us that history, craftsmanship, and even minting mistakes can transform a simple piece of change into something extraordinary. Whether it's a dramatic off-center strike, a double die variety, a wrong planchet strike, or simply a flawless high-grade example, the value of these coins can skyrocket. Some of the best auction results for 1999 Roosevelt dime errors and rarities have reached into the five-figure range, making this small coin one of the most fascinating pieces of modern U.S. coinage. So the next time you see a dime dated 1999, don't be too quick to spend it without a second look. Check the inscriptions for doubling. Look at the edges to see if the clad layers are intact, and examine whether the design is perfectly centered. You never know if you might be holding an error coin worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars. Stories of coins selling at auction for jaw-dropping sums prove that treasure can still be found in the most ordinary of places, sometimes even in the palm of your hand, disguised as a simple 10-cent piece. The 2006 Roosevelt Dime is one of those coins that most people glance at for only a split second before sliding it into a pocket, a cash register, or a jar at home. To the average person, it's just 10 cents, small and almost forgettable. But to collectors, coin enthusiasts, and sharp-eyed treasure hunters, the 2006 dime represents something far more valuable when it appears in pristine condition or, more importantly, when it carries one of those dramatic and highly collectible mint errors that transform an ordinary modern coin into a rare prize worth hundreds, sometimes thousands, of dollars. What makes coins like this so exciting is the fact that they were struck recently. They're still in circulation, and yet within them hides the chance to hold something extraordinary that others have overlooked countless times. The Roosevelt dime design had already been in circulation for 6 decades by the time the 2006 issue was struck. First introduced in 1946, shortly after Franklin D. Roosevelt's death, the design was chosen to honor the 32nd President of the United States for his leadership during the Depression and World War II, as well as for his personal battle against polio and his involvement in the March of Dimes. The obverse shows John R. Sinek's portrait of Roosevelt facing left, with inscriptions reading Liberty, In God We Trust, the year 2006, and a mint mark identifying whether the coin was struck in Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. For proof issues, on the reverse, the dime displays a torch in the center symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on one side and an oak branch on the other, representing peace and strength. The inscriptions include United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime. Though this design has been in place for decades, it remains one of the most recognizable pieces of American coinage, simple yet powerful in symbolism. The 2006 Roosevelt dime was struck in large numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.1 billion dimes, while the Denver Mint produced another 1.2 billion. The San Francisco Mint created proof coins specifically for collectors, with numbers around 2 million. With a total mintage of more than 2.3 billion circulation strikes, the 2006 dime is certainly not rare in its standard form. Circulated examples are extremely common and worth face value. But as collectors know, it's the extremes, the coins that survive in high mint state condition or those struck with remarkable errors, that generate real excitement in high grades. The 2006 Roosevelt dime can bring strong premiums. An MS-66 example might sell for $20 to $40, while MS-67 examples can reach $100 or more depending on eye appeal. At the very top, coins graded MS-68 by PCGS or NGC, showing virtually flawless luster and strike, have sold for several $100s in auctions because of their rarity. Proof coins graded PR-70 Deep Cameo, with bold frosted devices against mirror-like fields, are also prized, often bringing $75 to $150. But the greatest interest lies in error coins, because that is where the 2006 dime becomes a standout issue. One of the most eye-catching errors for this year involves off-center strikes. A 2006 dime struck 40% off-center, leaving part of Roosevelt's portrait missing while still showing the date, has sold for over $200. Another common error is double striking, where the coin receives 2 impressions from the dies, leaving overlapping images of Roosevelt or the reverse design. These dramatic examples often bring $300 to $500 depending on severity. Missing clad layer errors are especially valuable. Since the dime is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, when one layer is missing, the reddish copper core is exposed on one side, creating a striking two-tone appearance. A 2006 dime missing a clad layer can sell for $400 to $700, sometimes more if the error is complete and visually bold. Another spectacular error involves wrong planchet strikes. Imagine finding a dime struck on a cent planchet, weighing less and showing a reddish tone instead of the usual silver appearance. These errors are extremely rare and can bring $1,000 or more at auction. Similarly, a dime struck on a foreign coin blank, which occasionally happens when leftover planchets from foreign coin contracts get mixed in, can fetch thousands depending on the type of planchet. Broad strikes are also collectible, where the collar that normally holds the coin during striking fails, allowing the dime to spread out with no reeded edge. These can sell for $100 to $250. Multiple strike errors, where the coin was struck more than once in the press, are especially dramatic and can bring several $100s. Auction records help highlight the range of values. A 2006 Roosevelt dime graded MS68 by PCGS sold for over $500, reflecting its rarity in such flawless condition. A 2006 D off-center dime graded by NGC brought close to $300, while another missing clad layer example sold for over $600. Perhaps most stunning was a wrong planchet error where a 2006 dime was struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin. That piece realized over $2,000 at a major coin auction. For collectors, the 2006 dime demonstrates a truth that applies across the entire Roosevelt series. Modern coins may seem ordinary, but in top condition or with rare errors, they can command astonishing prices. It is this blend of the common and the extraordinary that makes searching through pocket change or bank rolls so engaging. Everyone has access to coins like the 2006 dime, but only a few people take the time to study them closely and recognize when something is out of the ordinary. It is also worth noting that proof issues from the San Francisco Mint are particularly collectible when graded perfectly. A PR70 Deep Cameo 2006 S dime can sometimes bring four figures depending on market demand, since the number of absolutely flawless examples is very limited. The frosted relief against mirrored fields creates one of the most attractive modern coin finishes available, and collectors will pay significant premiums for perfection. So the next time a 2006 dime finds its way into your hand, don't let its size or its face value fool you. Examine it closely. Does it shine with near-perfect brilliance, free from the scratches and contact marks of circulation? Could it be an ultra-high-grade survivor worth sending to PCGS or NGC for grading? Or does it have something even more special, like an off-center strike, a missing clad layer, or a dramatic broad strike? Each of these possibilities could turn an overlooked 10-cent coin into a valuable collector's item worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's the thrill of modern coinage and the reason collectors keep looking. The 2006 Roosevelt dime, struck in the billions, may seem ordinary, but hidden within its massive mintage are spectacular treasures that prove every coin has a story, and sometimes that story is worth far more than 10 cents.